Gluten, should you eat it? Should you avoid it? For many people, gluten can cause some issues. There's the obvious ones, which we'll cover, but there's also 8 weird signs that may mean you should probably avoid it. Let's go. Gluten's an interesting one. Yeah. This one nobody talked about until about 15 years ago.
And I would even make the case.
People made fun of you if you brought it up.
Yeah, exactly. I think maybe only in the last 5 do you not get roasted.
Yeah.
I mean, I think 10 years ago, if you were talking about this, like, people would just, the biggest eye roll ever. Like,
especially if you don't have celiac.
You're what, exactly. If you don't have, granted, that's a one-off case, right? If you don't have celiac, then everybody else would give you a massive eye roll if you're like, oh, I'm gluten intolerant. I'm like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
No, change everything.
No, I was lucky. I was blessed to have somebody who rented space in my studio who was really ahead of the curve on this kind of stuff. And she informed me on gluten sensitivities. Now, at the time, the medical community,
yes,
unless you have celiac, there's no issue. But now I think it's widely accepted that aside from allergies and celiac, you can have sensitivities to gluten. So first off, gluten is a protein. It's a protein that's found in some grains, wheat being the most popular, barley being another one, rye I think is another one. It's a protein, which, by the way, if you have any kind of an immune response, it's typically to a protein. It's typically a protein that will cause an immune response. Now, the obvious signs of gluten intolerance, again, aside from the obvious celiac or allergy, are gastro issues. I think everybody knows that now, right? Bloating, constipation, diarrhea. But there are other signs that now are essentially confirmed that could mean that you probably should avoid gluten. One of them, I'll start with the first one, water retention. Water retention is widely reported by people who consume gluten. They're not allergic to it. They don't have celiac, but they eat it and they just feel puffy. Not gastro bloat, but rather bloat overall. This is me, by the way. When I eat gluten, this is me. When I eat gluten, if I don't get gastro issues, which I will get sometimes, I'll notice the following day, it's like I'm holding like 3-4 pounds of water everywhere.
It's if the a listener is trying to figure this out, it's very obvious that you are holding more than normal water. Like everybody holds a little bit of water. We get water retention when we eat, period, right? So everyone holds a little bit of water. It would be unhealthy not to, but it's an abnormal amount. And typically you see it in people's faces.
Their eyes.
Yeah, like their face will be holding. That's definitely my area. I know you're the same way too. I can tell right away when you had a good time eating.
Walk in, you're like, what's up with your face?
Yeah, it looks it. And thanks, buddy. It's I actually think it's far more common than people realize. I think that there's a lot of people on the lower end of the spectrum to where they can eat it, and because they don't have all of these symptoms, they have maybe a few of them, they don't even realize that they have somewhat of an intolerance to it. I've had many clients that we would be doing something, I'd be, you know what, let's try and eliminate it for a while and just see how you feel, and then instantly they notice a difference then.
So here's what's happening, because we'll get to the rest. Here's what's happening, right? You can have an allergy, which is obvious. So you'll eat a food, anaphylactic shock, right? And you'll know this. You figure this out as a kid, so you avoid that food as an adult. But there's other immune reactions that are not so obvious. There are different kind of antibodies that react to different kinds of proteins if you have a reaction. IgE antibodies, I believe it's IgE, maybe Doug can confirm this for me, are the antibodies that will cause the allergy. But then there's like IgG antibodies, IgA antibodies, and I believe there's 1 or 2 others that don't cause allergy, but they do show that you have some kind of an immune response. So intolerances are an immune response. They're just not the loud, obvious ones.
Is it like the difference is too, isn't there one that's a delayed response versus more of a immediate?
Yes, all the ones that are not the IgE antibodies will cause typically this kind of delayed response. So water retention could from gluten, if you have a gluten intolerance, is literally an immune response. Your body's identifying this protein as not a good thing or an invader. Now, again, it's not a strong reaction, but it's a reaction nonetheless that causes some water retention. And so all the ones we're going to go through today are really an immune reaction due to the gluten.
So because it is an immune response to another indicator for some people, and I didn't think you had this on your list. Did you have this on your list? No, I don't think so. Where like if you have an autoimmune disease,
it'll just get worse.
You'll see it flare up.
Yes.
So that was one of the biggest, I guess, blessings in disguise, this whole autoimmune battle with psoriasis that I've had, is it makes it even more obvious for me. Like because I think the hardest part about going over the symptoms you're talking about is it could be on the spectrum. So even as you list all of these symptoms, you can have severe water retention, or you can have mild water retention and everything in between. And each one of these categories, it can be somewhere on that. And so it makes it difficult sometimes for people to go like, well, is it water retention or brain fog I'm dealing with right now? Or is it like, and you question it because you're not sure, because it's not so alarming, versus when you have an autoimmune disease and then you eat something that you're intolerant to like this, it lets you know.
Generally speaking, if you have any autoimmune issue, you probably should start avoiding foods that tend to cause the more common foods that can cause issues. And gluten is one of them. That's a top one. So when I worked with functional medicine practitioners, if anybody had any kind of an autoimmune issue, they would always cut gluten out just to see what would happen, because their immune system is already heightened. You already have a hyperactive or hyperreactive immune system, and gluten is a common protein that can cause issues. So if you already have this hyperactive system, you add that on top of it, you get more psoriasis.
Now, not to go too far down a rabbit hole, just to bring it up at least, besides having a reaction to the gluten protein itself, have they actually studied and siphoned off specifically glyphosate and herbicide and pesticide symptoms in terms of
Good point.
stuff you're listing versus it just being from the protein?
Good point. So some people say that maybe that what people will call a gluten intolerance is really a glyphosate intolerance, because they spray the hell out of wheat as essentially to dry it out. They don't even use it as a herbicide here for wheat. They'll just spray it on as a desiccant. Yes, they have. So some people respond to glyphosates, other people respond to gluten, some people respond to both.
So it's like both, yeah.
Yes. And by the way, gluten is it's a protein that can thicken liquids. It adds to bread the kind of the squishiness to it, or the firmness to bread. That's what gluten does. And I believe our wheat has been bred to have higher levels of gluten here in the U.S. because it makes it just a thicker, more palatable type of bread. I believe that's true.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because then there's even and I noticed this with myself, there's levels to things. I feel like there's things I can have that have gluten in it. Yeah. But as long as it's
sourdough for me is a little less.
Yes, exactly. I can have sourdough bread. I just had sourdough bread for breakfast. Totally fine. Doesn't bother me. But pizza bread dough from Round Table or something like that, oh man, it is. I'm destroyed.
Yeah.
So there's also sourdough. And then I also know when I was in over in Europe, eating stuff over in France and stuff like that, I could have breadsticks.
That's an interesting one, and I'm not sure what that is. But I know sourdough, because it's fermented. The gluten is broken down somewhat, so it helps a little bit. Less. But the Europe one, a lot of people talk about that, and I don't know. I really don't know what the heck the difference is.
Yeah, because that was weird for me too. Is over there, it felt like I could have pizza. I could have whatever I wanted. It didn't bother me the same way.
A lot of people say that. Yeah.
So weird.
Another weird sign is delayed gastro issues. So you eat gluten today and you start noticing gut issues a day or two later.
Yep.
This one's harder to connect. Mm-hmm. This one's also me. If I get gastro issues from gluten, it's almost never immediately after. It's like the day after, and I notice I'm just either something's off.
That's funny.
Sucks.
That's me with dairy. If I overdo it, the dairy is delayed, but gluten's immediate.
Yeah. Oh, see, Doug just pulled up. European wheat tends to be lower in gluten. That might be that might be why.
A factor too.
Next up, skin rashes and itching. So you don't have psoriasis, you don't have skin issues, eczema, but you just notice sometimes your skin is a little itchy. Sometimes you do get a little bit of rashiness. That's a common autoimmune reaction or immune reaction to gluten. In fact, in my experience, this is the number one reaction that aside from the gastro issues, which are obvious. When I would have clients that would talk about itchy skin or dry patches, I would cut gluten out as my number one. That was always my number one line of defense for them. Yeah. Next up, brain fog. This is one that people miss.
Yeah.
They just miss. Mm-hmm. But pay attention. If you notice after eating pasta or bread that you're just I'm just not as sharp, something doesn't feel right, that's also could be, I should say, an immune response to the gluten.
Yeah, it's elusive. I mean, they think that maybe they didn't get enough sleep or there's some other factor, but this is why it's good to tease it out.
You know what's tough about what's tough about all these, by the way, is if you eat gluten every day, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know until you go off, and you go off for a week or two that you're like, whoa, I feel really different. Next up, this is an interesting one. Neuropathic symptoms like tingling in the hands and feet, or, like numbness or cold, hot, kind of burning sensations, some of your nerves. That's actually a relatively common one. That's a result of gluten.
Is it an autoimmune Rains disease?
I don't know if it's autoimmunes, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not sure if it's autoimmunes. You can look that up, Doug. Rains,
R-E-I-N-S?
I believe so.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where you get the hands that like
almost like blood flow doesn't get all the way to your fingertips and stuff like that, and then they look all white. And
I don't know if that's a autoimmune. That's interesting. Today's program giveaways Maps Split. If you want to win that, leave a comment below this video in the first 24 hours that we drop it. Subscribe to this channel and also turn on notifications. Do all of those things, and then if you win, we'll let you know in the comment section. We also have a sale this month. Maps 15 Performance and the RGB Bundle, 50% off. If you're interested, go to mapsfitnessproducts.com and then use the code MAY50 for the discount. Back to the show. Next up, fatigue or energy crash. So sometimes people think this is just I eat carbs or I just ate something, but it's different when you eat rice versus when you eat bread. This is me as well. If I eat white rice, I don't feel okay. If I eat bread, for sure, 30, 40 minutes later, I need to take a nap. So,
is this it?
Yes, that's it. Raynaud's disease. That's the one. Yeah. Doesn't say that it's a.
It's not an autoimmune. Okay.
No.
That always used to kill me because we'd eat pancakes, before like a football game. And I was always like, about halftime, I was like,
yeah. And you thought you were like loading up
I was
on
like,
carbs.
I should have loaded up more.
I know.
I mean, I'm the same way too, though. White rice, sweet potato, yams, quinoa, fruit, all good, all amazing. But a big old like loaf of bread, pizza type of deal like that, and it's like,
I want to go to bed.
Yeah, I want to crash right afterwards.
Depression and anxiety is another one. So this one's interesting. There's actually some studies that connect immune responses or an immune system that's a little hyperreactive to depression, anxiety. So there's a ton of anecdote of people who cut gluten out and notice an improvement in depression, anxiety. So if this is you and you kind of struggle with and this is an extreme, like a low level depression, anxiety, like I don't know what's going on. You can try it. Try cutting gluten for all of these. By the way, if you have any of these and that you just are mysterious to you, cut gluten out completely. By the way, cutting gluten out is not as easy as you think.
No.
We know it's in wheat. We know it's in certain grains. It's in a lot of sauces.
Sauces is the sneaky one.
Yes, soy sauces or barbecue sauces, processed foods. I'd say probably 70% of them contain gluten. A lot of them. I screwed up on this years ago when I tried to remove gluten when I had my gut issues in my early 30s when they really kicked in hard. And I remember cutting gluten out and being like, must not be gluten because I'm not having any improvements. And my friend goes, those chicken breasts that you eat that are marinated, they have gluten in them. And I'm like, it's chicken. She's like, look at the bag. I look at the bag and the freaking sauce.
Nice.
That's so funny.
I was so mad, dude. I did it every single day. I know. Last, joint pain. So if you have kind of unexplained joint pain, this will be me too. If I push gluten for a while, like I just recently did for the past 4 days, I do notice I'm just stiffer.
Now, is this connected to the water retention, or are they independent of each other?
Independent. So I get both. So who knows if mine's from the water retention, but some people don't get, that's all they get.
Oh, okay.
Is they'll eat gluten and they'll start noticing more back pain or knee pain or something like that, which is a really
what would you
weird
guys say? I would actually say water retention and joint pain were probably the two
most common ones.
Yeah, common ones for me.
Yes.
You said skin rash.
Skin rash
that would be up there too.
Wasn't common, but when I saw random skin rashes,
almost always.
It was like, bro, it was like, I'm not exaggerating. 70% of the time, it would fix their skin issues.
Well, especially if
it's a lot.
I mean, I guess I would say I had the same experience because if it was something that was, I remember seeing this with Katrina. I've seen it with Max, where they don't have it, then all of a sudden it comes out of nowhere, and then right away we're going, okay, the last 24 hours, what did you eat? And then we can normally point to something and then eliminate it, don't have it, and then it goes away.
You know what I didn't put here? That's another weird one. Snoring. Snoring, yes, and it's a central nervous system because when you have an immune response, it'll affect the central nervous system, which is, by the way, why people get more depression, and anxiety from gluten sometimes if they have an intolerance, but also will affect your breathing when you're asleep. So you'll snore more. I saw this on myself. Remember a while ago, I noticed this and I looked it up. I'm like, what's going on here? And I'm like, oh my God, it's
contributes to that too.
yeah, dude. Like it causes, you know, so sleep apnea, believe it or not, sometimes doctors, forward-thinking doctors, unless the person's really overweight, right? If they have sleep apnea, they'll say, hey, let's avoid gluten and see what happens. And there's a percentage of people where that's the fix. It's just not having, who would have thought, right?
Yeah, who'd have thought?
I mean, it's rare. In fact, I'm trying to recall a scenario where I had a client where I had them do an elimination or like a Whole30 protocol and they didn't see significant improvements. Can you think of anybody who you have helped that way? They did it and they're like, oh yeah, no better, no worse.
So I'll say this, and I know we're going to get some flack from the science, the sciencey crowd who only goes with the current data shows or whatever. We have a lot of experience, and I'm 100% out. Yeah, I would say it was a minority of people who didn't notice a benefit from just cutting out gluten. It was a majority. Now, here's what they're going to say. Well, gluten's found in processed foods. Yeah. So maybe they're just eating less processed food. I'm talking about clients.
Whatever the case.
I'm talking about clients that were healthy who ate gluten. So they're like, oh, I eat whole grain bread. Yeah. Or I have the pasta with and their diets were relatively healthy. Yeah. And we'd switch to gluten-free. Yeah. And they would almost all notice some improvement in how they felt.
Almost everybody, it made a significant difference.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, so, I can't recall where I haven't. If everybody that we've made the attempt to do that, I think it just even people who didn't really think they had a major issue just would report back.
Yeah, let's just try this out.
Yeah, they would report back, oh man, I do feel so much better.
I remember when Justin identified it was your acid reflux.
Oh yeah.
How long ago was it that you found that? Because it was while we were together.
Years, yeah. It was maybe like 3 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. And it was like immediate. Once I removed it, I didn't have any like quick acting response like that.
Now what's crazy, and this is great to highlight because you're a trainer, you're a fitness guy. I consider you a pretty self-aware person. It took you that long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now imagine the average person who doesn't pay attention to their health, who just like, oh, this is just what I got. This is what I'm trying to say for people watching. You might be like, I'm fine. Cut it out for a week or two and see if you notice a difference.
Yeah, for some reason I thought it was acid. Like I thought it was.
You just make too much or too little or whatever.
Well, just like spicy, acidic type foods. Like because I thought again you get a lot of carbs with those typically, and so it was really the gluten.
I mean, I think the reason why something like that takes so long sometimes for people is I think we underestimate just how resilient the human body is.
Yeah.
It has an unbelievable ability to adapt and figure it out. And so because you're not crippling in pain or in the hospital yet or hunched over vomiting, like, okay, so you don't have that these are subtle enough that the body adapts. And, all right, this is just, we're going to have to make do.
I'm just going to deal with it. I feel like this. And then it would kind of resolve itself eventually throughout the day.
I can't stress enough to the audience that's never tried to do this, but give yourself 30 days of eating a whole food diet, just purely nothing but that for 30 days, or do some sort of an elimination diet and tell me you don't feel significantly better.
Yep.
And then once you've done that, then the next step is to just gradually introduce some of the things that maybe you loved, because not a lot of times this is why this is so important, is because if you can help shift, it's so hard to get a client to let go of wine if they've, you know, the client is, we
have attachments to things.
Yeah, we do. We get these attachments to foods and we're in denial if it could be making us feel that way. And so part of eliminating it and then reintroducing it and then realizing what it's actually doing helps shift the relationship with it. So it takes something that you might have said like, I would never go without, or like,
now you notice this negative effect.
Yeah, then you see that like,
good point.
Because otherwise you operate from this place of denial, even if like,
or just ignorance. You just don't know.
Yeah. Part of me, I think we choose to be that way because you're like, I don't want to accept that that's possibly what it is. And
I don't want to lift the rug here.
Yeah, and so I just urge you to do that for yourself, for your health. And then reintroduce those foods, many times it's that food that you don't want to let go of. And once you connect oh wow, every time I do this, like
it releases its grip on you.
Yeah, it does. Like I mean, I've openly talked about my relationship with ice cream that I absolutely love. Still, will never not. But because I've so strongly connected what it does to me, it does make that easier not to. Doesn't mean it's still not hard. Doesn't mean I still don't do it to myself, but I'm very aware that how it makes me feel. And so it's like, yeah, I got to be judicious about how often that makes its way into my life.
Yeah. The other part is that we have such good over-the-counter symptom controlling medicines. Yeah. So here's a hint. Here's a clue that you need to change something. If you take on a weekly and especially daily basis some kind of an over-the-counter symptom controlling medication, whether it's an NSAID like ibuprofen or naproxen or acetaminophen like Tylenol, because you have these headaches every week, or if you take heartburn medication like Tums, or something even stronger like Pepcid, like those are or you have to use a steroid cream. Or rash stuff. Like if this is like a regular weekly basis or daily, especially, there's probably something causing it, And so take a look. Take a look is what I would say. Yeah, anyway, I had a great conversation this weekend with very intelligent woman. She's you guys know Chuck. He's the pastor at my church. His wife is a psychiatrist, and we were talking about depression and anxiety because that's what she treats, right? When she works with people.
Okay.
And I absolutely love having access to an expert on a subject like that. I really miss training doctors. I used to love talking to doctors about stuff. So we got this really good discussion. And then we talked about like the effects of fitness and exercise on depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I said, is that like, do you guys recommend that? She's like, oh yeah, now it is like one of the first things we do. She says, however, sometimes someone's so bad that they can't even walk out the door or they can't get off the couch, which I understand that. Years ago, I trained a psychology professor who explained that to me. She says, because I had this big debate, and I'm like, no, they need to exercise. That's what they need to do. She goes, sometimes I give them medications so they can't exercise. And I was like, oh, okay. But the discussion was great. One of the things that we were talking about why is fitness so effective for depression and anxiety? Like you compare fitness and diet, so just being healthy, to every other medication, every other depression treatment, it kills them. Yeah. It's the best, the most effective. And you can stack it. So you can do the other stuff plus add it to it. But why is it so effective? And I think that there's two ways that it works. One is, your brain is a physical part of your body, right? And a healthy brain operates better than an unhealthy brain. So think of hardware. You got a computer in your skull, and if it operates well, if it utilizes glycogen well and ketones well, it doesn't have mitochondrial dysfunction, it's got good blood flow, it's healthy, you're going to have a healthy brain, you're going to feel healthier, you're going to be less depressed, less anxiety, less inflammation. If it's unhealthy, you're going to feel crappy, okay, from your brain. So there's that. But then there's also the other aspect of fitness, which is I have to get up, I have to do something hard. Yep. I have to stay disciplined.
Psychological.
Oh my God, I accomplished something. I'm going to do it again. Oh my God, I accomplished something. That part. And that part we were talking a lot about.
Well, that's why I think that's why it does so well, because it's not just addressing the physiological stuff.
Yes.
It's also addressing the psychological
yes.
stuff. And both are so powerful when dealing with anxiety and depression. Obviously there's some sort of chemical issue or imbalance potentially. Yeah. And so taking something that potentially helps that, or doing something that potentially helps that, but then also helps the psychological part of, like you're saying, going after something or doing something that is hard, overcoming it, and then the confidence that you build from that. Like that's
the reason why we went
compounding.
Yeah, so we went in that direction because we started talking about GLP-1s, and I said to her, at some point, I think we're going to have this combination or cocktail of peptides or drugs or whatever that's going to give you all of the effects of exercise, physical effects. Like you'll take them and you'll have muscle, you'll be lean, boom. I said, but it's not going to be the same. And that's when, the conversation really got exciting, because she said, she goes, the way that the brain uses and utilizes dopamine is different when it's cheap dopamine versus when it's hard dopamine. So like if I take a drug or something that squirts out dopamine, there's an adaptive response where receptors get downregulated and I need more of it to get that same effect. That's where you get addiction. Versus where I have to like do something hard to get the dopamine.
Right.
That doesn't happen.
So is it endogenous versus
Exogenous. Yes, or just like you're forcing it versus you're making it happen.
Isn't there also a longer lasting effect that comes from that one too? Right. So it's like the other one is like the artificial. It's an instant hit. Then it comes and goes. And then the one where you actually had to accomplish something. Not only is it take longer, it's longer lasting. It doesn't downregulate regulate anything. And then in addition to that, it also has a prolonged. effect.
So if you were to look at a graph of like comparing like cocaine, which slams dopamine in your brain, versus exercise, initially cocaine's going to produce a stronger dopamine effect, but over time it goes down and you start getting these negative effects. Whereas exercise starts out here, but the longer you do it, the higher it goes and the better it is. So it's this growing positive effect on anxiety and depression, whereas drugs have a growing downward slope negative effect on the brain. So I don't think we'll ever solve, or should I say mimic the effects perfectly of exercise, because people have to do something hard.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, maybe make them go lift weights,
try
to pill.
To figure out ways to slow down that negative slope, but at the same time create other symptoms with the other drugs that they're combating.
You have to perceive
it's the
something
same
hard.
game, yeah.
I mean, as a society, I mean, don't you guys predict that we're going to get even worse with anxiety and depression?
Oh yeah, bro.
Because there's a subset of people right now that have found exercise and it's profoundly changed their life for the good. That would also, if given the option, just take a pill and just dismiss that.
Sure.
There's obviously a percentage that value the journey, that understand that part of it and love it. And
everybody who's done it for a long time.
Yeah, wouldn't matter to them. They're choosing they're going to choose the hard path no matter what. But there's definitely a percentage of people that exercise is helping and is good for them, but then they will choose the opposite path because of maybe what the desired outcome of it is just for the way they look.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to produce the positive effects of exercise without doing the hard work that it requires. But what we don't realize is the hard work produces many of the positive effects.
It is.
So it's impossible to produce the effects of hard work without hard work. That would be the challenge.
The Everest analogy with the helicopter ride to it is the great analogy that you've given before, which is that you could take a helicopter ride to the top of Mount Everest and look at the view and for a moment go, man, this is so awesome. But compare that to the person who spent however long it takes to get to the top of that thing and how few people do, climbing that thing and then getting to the top. That the experience they both have,
totally different.
So different. And so much like the person who did that not only will have this way more profound feeling, but it'll be prolonged. They'll be able to draw on it.
Growth.
Months down the road, they'll recall it and be able to talk about, they'll have all these things where the other person who helicopter will go like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then over.
They just have the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Dude, would you say you're more philosophical when you drink? Because I've hung out with you and you've had a few, and then like it just reminds me of that that conversation you have, because it ends up going to, what do you guys think about this existential crisis?
Yeah, I do. You know what it is? It's a alcohol. It lowers inhibitions, and I think sometimes. Well, I know this about myself. I don't go super deep because I mean, like I start going off, and then like I want people to go deep with me, and some people are like shut up.
I like doing that though. Like sometimes,
those are some of the best conversations.
Yeah, you guys are like that. That's why we all connect.
Yeah. I mean, I saw you stocking up on Zbiotics before you left. Did you guys do a lot of drinking this weekend?
Yeah, so I went up to Truckee with some families that we met at church. So Chuck and his wife Catherine. His wife Catherine was a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And then we went with Chris and Jessica. They've got 3 little girls and one on the way. First off, I got to say like such good people, like really godly, just wonderful good people. Everybody's just so great, such a great time. The dads are so amazing. I'm around these really really great fathers. My buddy Chris, he's like this giant. He's like this tall dude, blue collar worker. I was telling my wife, I said, because he's like this super humble, very humble, chill, but also confident. When you run into a guy who's humble but confident?
Yeah.
And she's like, I know what you mean, but what do you mean by that? I said, well, first off, like he's a big dude. He's probably 6'5". I said, when you look at his hands, I can always tell when a dude is really strong by his hands.
Yeah.
I'm like, he could rip someone's hand, like arm out of their socket.
Slap you unconscious.
Yeah, but he's like he's the cool, but he's also very confident.
Yeah.
Really great people, great kid. And anyway, so we all had a good time. I brought Zbiotics up there because that's the other thing I like about Christians. They'll drink at least. So we got to have some drinks and stuff. But everybody likes the Zbiotics. They remember it from the Christmas party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're like, cool. I remember this.
They got a chance
nice.
to try it there.
Yeah, dude. So I had Zbiotics, which is a save.
Now, what
a lifesaver, dude.
What were you guys drinking up there? I know we've stocked up the alcohol up there. Did you have any of that Japanese whiskey? What did you guys have?
No, we had beer, and then we had
your little
margarita
drinks?
mix. I know.
That great bar up there, and you're up there drinking a freaking purple margarita. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we're not going hard. You know what I mean? We're not like, but it's during the day, right? So, we'll have a couple drinks with lunch, and then again a little later, and then again. So I'm probably averaging like 5 drinks a day, which for me,
that's a lot.
For me, is a lot.
Yeah, you were right. That's a lot.
We don't drink that much. And the Zbiotics, because I forgot one day to take Zbiotics, and I woke up the next day, dude, and I was
mad
like,
at yourself.
Ibuprofen. Yeah, dude. I was like, I feel terrible. Then I had the Zbiotics afterwards, and it was good. A couple of days I had it twice in a day. Because I'm like,
now, were you guys there the whole time? Did you go up there the whole week?
We were there the whole time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
was it beautiful up there?
It was gorgeous, dude. The weather was nice.
It's crazy. Nice everywhere here.
It's crazy at altitude. If you're the sun, and I think
it'll tan you and cook you way quicker.
It's because there's less atmosphere, right? Am I tripping?
Yeah, no, that's right. That's true. Oh yeah, you'll get
I get crispy, dude, if I don't watch myself.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, it wasn't even that hot, it was like 70 degrees, but it's like I was getting like a farmer stand.
Oh, it was perfect.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. Look, we have a free guide. It's the benefits of eating whole foods. This gives you a shopping list, what foods are best for proteins, fats, carbohydrates. There's recipe samples. It's all based on real, whole, natural foods, and it's a free guide. It's totally free. You can get it if you go to WholeFoodsGuide.com or by clicking on the link in the description below.
We were in San Diego, and it was nice. It was perfect too down there. Great. It was great weather.
You went to Legoland?
Yes, we did.
Was it just you, Katrina, and your son?
And my best friend and his kids.
Okay.
Epic fail.
Why?
Yeah, dude. You know what? As a parent, I'm mad at myself. I mean, Katrina and I had a big long talk about this because, my godson is like your son, very like aggressive, risky, do all the things like that. He's also a year and a half older than my son, and that's my best friend and his kid.
That's a big difference.
It is a big
at that age. A year and a half
a year and a half plus you're that type of kid, and my kid's the opposite.
Yeah.
So why I was mad at Katrina and I for doing this is we know our son so well, yet we planned Legoland because we wanted to go to Legoland because my best friend's going. He's going to bring his kids. We all want to be together. Of course, my son should love Legoland. Everyone told me, he's going to love Legoland. Yeah. What I didn't know, and I found this out later from Katrina, I wish she would have told me, although who knows, maybe I wouldn't have changed anything, that he was talking to his other little friend who had told him that he got scared at Legoland.
No. So he was already going into it.
So my son had like multiple times told Katrina, like, hey, mommy, I don't want to do all the rides there. I know that what's his friend's name? Julian was scared. I don't want to do the one ride. And she's like, you don't even know what's there yet. Yeah. Let's wait till you get. So she kept kind of talking him through it. And I didn't know anything about this, but she told me that he'd like multiple times before we were even going on the trip saying this.
Yeah.
And again, I know my son, like, at that point, it doesn't even have to be
there.
It's there. It would be, and he was that way.
It has to be his idea. You can't push him.
Yes, and so I mean, he was just resistant to the most basic things that he should have had no fear around.
Oh man!
And it was just and then I have the kid, and then we're trying to get him to force him to do it, and it's like. Yeah. Oh, it was really, really frustrating. But I was so.
Did you guys just spend a lot of time in the places making Legos and stuff?
Yeah, of course. Yes, yeah. And that was a part. So we had 2 days of Legoland. Third day was the zoo, and I mean, I was done by the first day. I was like, I'm not paying for a day of Legoland to just watch my son play Legos and then buy all the shit that's there. You know what I'm saying? Spend $1,000 on all the stuff. That's just because he doesn't want to do any of the rides, and so. I was really, really frustrated with that. But I also, again, like I blame it on me. I blame Katrina and I for for him not being, I said, like, our son, not only is he younger than him, but he's also, my son will be into the things that most kids are into when they're 5, when he's 7.
Yeah.
Because he's already like that with almost everything else. And then I have to wait until he's telling me, Daddy, I want to go do this. And then we go do it. Then we'll have a total different experience. So yeah, Legoland was an absolute flop for me, and it was tough.
Did he know it, or was your son thinking like, oh, I'm having fun because I'm playing Legos?
No. I mean, he could feel my energy. He could tell I was frustrated too. I really had to like rein myself in. Both Katrina and I, her and I, that if there's something that, and she even says, she's like, I need you to be nicer to him because I'm so mad at him right now. I was like, I'm like, no, I'm pissed at him right now too. I'm like, I'm so frustrated that, I mean, he wouldn't even do a slide, bro.
Yeah.
Like
he's already decided.
Yeah, exactly. Once and that's the part that's so frustrating. It's like, okay, I get it. I'm not going to make you do roller. I would never force him to do a roller coaster. But like some of these things are things that you've already done, and now you're not having it.
Aurelius is not. He's like that now with a lot of rides and stuff. So he's not like wanting to go on rides and stuff that. Yeah. So we'll see how my daughter is, but he can be very timid, and so the way Jessica gets him to do things, she's really good at. She'll just be like, okay, you don't have to.
Yeah.
And then what I've done in the past, which has helped. I'm trying to think what this helped with. So this helped him with going to bed. So I'll tell him a story about a character. It's either a dinosaur or some other whatever.
Yeah.
When he was scared and how it was okay. But then his friend said, hey, you could try being brave. And he's like, but I'm still scared. And he goes, well, that's the only time. And I'll tell him stories like that.
Yeah.
And it's helped a couple times.
Yeah.
But you can't, if you push him, it's like you're just gonna end up like it's gonna get worse, and then you make the kid feel terrible.
I mean, I made that mistake with Everett. It was pretty bad. It was like, because he's very courageous, but then when he doesn't want to do something, he's an immovable object.
Yes.
And so I got him to go on the Big Dipper, and then after we're done, like me and Ethan went on this ride adjacent to it, and it goes upside down, and it kind of does all the. And I'm like, it's fine. Like you're strapped in, like and I'm trying to convince him. He's like, I'm just not doing it, Dad. No freaking way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're doing it. And he's just like, I don't want to do that. He starts crying. I'm like, fine, you go wait at the end. And I kind of lost my shit. And then I'm on there.
Great dad moments.
Dude,
I know. Don't feel bad, bro. I'm pretty sure I traumatized him when I was there. I'm pretty sure there was a point where
I apologized to him right after that, and he was like, it created that sort of, Dad, I know what I want to do, and I know what I don't want to do. And I'm like, okay, I respect that. But it was like, I was like, oh.
Listen, there's a positive here. There's a good thing to look at here, because first off, it is Dad's role to encourage our children. This is the data shows, okay? But I believe this as well. It is father's role to challenge our children to go outside of what they can. That's what we're supposed to do. That's why we throw them in the air. That's why we do all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Mom is safe, Dad's a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's on one side. Here's the other side that I think is positive. You guys and I, okay, which they got from us. I'm going to break this to you guys, but they take after us. This is not a bad thing. That they're not afraid to stand up for what they want to do. And you know what? You don't want to break that.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
you don't want to crush it. Imagine if you crush that. Then you're going to have this kid that goes along with everybody.
I was trying to move him in that direction. It's way better.
I was that kid, and you guys were too. I know you. I've heard you guys.
No, I told Katrina that. Well, one of the earliest traits I can remember of myself was when I didn't want to do something, I was not going to do it. And you would think my friends and peers would be like, "Oh, you're scared." It's that. But then I'll go do something that is way riskier, way more dangerous because I wanted to do it and it was on my terms.
Now, why was this positive? Well, I know because we've talked off air on these stories.
Yeah, we're independent.
You had friends who wanted to try certain drugs, or they wanted to go break a window or go to steal a car.
Yeah.
Those are all things that happened to me. And because I was willing to say no, I didn't fall into the peer pressure.
Yeah.
Totally.
And you don't want to crush that.
No, you're right. No, you're 100% right. I mean, that's why my way of starting the conversation was like, as a parent, I failed this one.
Yeah, you take that one.
Yeah, I shouldn't even have taken him. I shouldn't even taken him there, and I definitely had Justin a moment where I probably traumatized him too when we first started, because I was already like,
so I'm gonna be honest,
I was already kind of annoyed, like, oh, it's gonna be like that, right? The first ride that we got on, we got on this little, if you guys have been to Legoland, there's this cool little like submarine thing that goes underwater and you see like all the fish and stuff. And he tried to be like, he was so scared, and I like carried him on, and he like buried his head in my chest the whole time, and he was just like crying. I'm like, Max, the thing's like barely moving. There's like little infants in there with us. And so I'm like, I'm already kind of like annoyed, and then I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a day like that. And so there's like a regular slide, just a regular slide. You put these little beanbag thing on, and I'm like, let's go up there, let's go do that. And I'm walking up there, and I'm holding his hand. And he's like, Daddy, this is high. I'm like, no, it's not. It's no higher than any other slide you've ever been on. It's fine. Oh, it's high. Oh, you're fine. And so we get up there, and I'm like, don't worry. I'm like, I'm going to hold your hand. I'll hold your hand. You go on one side. And it's like, it was like a 4-person slide or whatever. And, you know, you could tell he's not wanting to do it, but I'm like, he's going to do it with me. And he gets on his little beanbag on mine. We're about to go. And the guy goes, oh, you can't hold hands, sir. Can't hold hands.
Oh, just throws it off.
And then Max looks, his eyes get this big, and he's like, I don't want to do it. And I grabbed his leg and just took him down the slide with me. And then it was like, then he were crying. It was a mess. And I was like, oh, fuck, man.
Like, you know what? I got to say something. You know, shame on us, because my son and your son, they jive really well. Yeah. And I bet if we went to a place like that, I bet they would encourage each other.
Well,
I really do.
That's what the girls.
We need to go do that.
That's
more.
What the wives thought with Hunter and him, because they're the best. And Bunny, she's only 3, 2.5.
Yeah, but they're
she's doing all the stuff.
But
dude.
they're so different. A race actually very similar in that way.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so they hope for all that. I mean, again, I just know my son so well that if I just wait till he wants to do it, we'd be fine. And I can't force, because I want that right now, because it benefits my life and my wife's, because we have friends that have kids that are already there. It's just like, hey, our kids probably, and same thing with like this. It's the same thing with the sports thing. Like, he's not picking a ball up right now. It's not like the end of the world, or like he's not going to ever play. He's not into it right now, and maybe he'll be into it when he's 9. And so I can't force him to play and do those things if I don't want to, just like I can't force him to want to ride roller coasters at Legoland. And so it's just, it is what it is.
You just reminded me of a study, because I'm thinking about all this right now. And I'm like, you're reminding me of the times I've done stuff like that. There was a crazy study that my wife showed me. And now it's a study on religion, but I thought it was a fascinating one nonetheless, that the parents whose children are most likely, so parents who go to church, what kind of parents are the ones that their children are most likely to follow in their footsteps and also go to church and also get a good experience? You know what the one characteristic was? They had parents that apologized to them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can imagine
that. They felt grace from mom and dad.
Yeah.
So it's like they all said, oh, yeah, my dad he messed them up, or my mom would come and say sorry to me or whatever. And I think that makes so much sense, right? Because if you try to be Christian, but you don't understand the grace part about it, you just feel judged. You're not going to want to deal with it.
No,
but if you were raised with parents who were always okay with saying,
100%. I mean, that was even how we ended it. Like Katrina and I sat him down together and said, "Hey, Mommy and Daddy are sorry we made you come." Oh yeah. No, we totally apologized to him, and said, we're sorry we had you come here. You obviously didn't really want to come here. This is not what you want to do, and we should have asked you. And
wow, that's huge, bro.
And he goes, "I tried to tell you, Mommy," and I went, Oh. Look at her. That's your bad right there. I mean, if you would have told me, we would have fucking came.
In the moment, you look at your wife. He tried to tell you.
Yeah, totally, dude.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Brutal, so, I mean, so the part too, like, it also helps too, like,
You know what you just did, by the way?
What?
You just changed that whole memory for him.
Sure.
Because now when he thinks back, he's not gonna think about, oh, my dad was disappointed. He's gonna be like, oh man. My dad
no. And I made sure the reason I did is because he knows me so well that he doesn't get this. I don't get frustrated with him. I don't get. And I know he can feel my disappointment. Multiple times I saw him look at my eyes, and I definitely gave him that look like Daddy's not happy right now. But that's why at the end of the day I was like, Daddy's sorry. I shouldn't even made you do this.
Good for you, man.
And then then I realized too. And I started telling Katrina, I was just like, we can't have our cake and eat it too. We can't have this son that is so amazing and all these other things and quiet and sensitive and all this, and then he's also this daredevil. It's like you kind of get one or the other. And what I'm glad about is that what he is not is this shy, introverted, antisocial kid.
Yeah, no.
Like we were on the plane. It was so cool. We got stuck on the tarmac.
No, he's a friendly, open kid.
Oh,
man.
Dude, he had the whole plane, dude. It was so cool.
Was it really?
It was so cool to watch. We're getting to get our stuff, and everyone already stood up to get their stuff. So when everyone's like crowded, wanting to get off the plane, and they held us back. And so we're standing for like 20 minutes. and he ends up he starts introducing himself to everybody and teaching them all about storms and asking them where they're from and what kind of storms are in their city. And he had everybody in the whole plane was listening to him converse with each person. He talked to this lady for like 10 minutes.
That's the best trait between you and your wife. You both have that trait.
Man, it was just, and her and I didn't say a word. Her and I just looking at each other, kind of laughing and smiling and watching him and like everybody on the plane talking to him and him just having a full on conversation with strangers. So I love that even though he's timid about certain things, he's not timid in life. Like he's not afraid to walk up to a stranger, talk to them, look them in the eye, like be like he's got that quality. Cause I think it would really bother me if he had this kind of quiet, shy personality, and then he was also introverted, antisocial, had no friends, then that would really
that's more like a alarming.
Yeah, that would start to worry me more. It's just like, no, my son just don't like do shit like that. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? Like everything else, he's cool. So I just got to remember that. So mom and dad.
Earlier we were talking about depression, anxiety. A study came out that, or should I say, a graph? I saw a graph that was listing natural compounds for depression, anxiety, and their effect based on studies. At the top of the list was saffron, which is one of the ingredients of the Happy Drops.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So it's getting a lot more, a lot more publicity now on it being, because typically when I say natural antidepressant, you'll think like St. John's Wort or SAM-E, which both have studies that support them. Saffron is now leading the list of like natural ways to
leave it to Drew and Organifi to be on top
of it.
Always.
Like before everybody else starts talking about it.
He was that way with Sheila Jeet. He was that way with Happy Drops. I got to ask him if he's got somebody on his team or is he just, I think he's a big nut.
He's really dialed in, dude.
Yeah.
When I talk to him about supplements, it's rare that I talk to someone about supplements who's as like weird about them as I am.
Yeah.
But I'll talk with him and he's like totally on.
Which is also
all the exotic
unique for a founder CEO. Yeah. Typically you have like, you're the business guy and then you hire a guy.
The guy that does that.
He's the guy who like is into all that stuff. So shout out to them for always being on top of stuff. I love those things, dude.
I know, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I got to bring this up because I saw one of the most impressive things I've ever seen a 45-year-old man do in my entire life. I got to talk about Justin's press. Bro.
Dude.
Bro. I cannot believe it,
bro,
dude.
What the F?
I cannot believe he did it.
Like, that's got to be one of the strongest overhead presses
I thought it was the stupidest thing you could ever do, by the way. Now I can say that.
I felt that energy from you.
Bro, when you decided you were going to go, I mean, literally.
He just threw a big ass number out, like, and he's never done it before. I'm like, what's this guy doing?
Yeah,
that's just kind of how I roll, but yeah.
It's impressive, I think, at any age.
Bro, that's an impressive bench press.
Yeah.
That's an impressive squat.
Yeah.
And you overhead press that. 315?
I was pretty pumped, dude.
Oh, I bet you
So how did you go into it? And then like what was your did you psych yourself up? Were you like what
I mean, I want to hear I also want to hear too what cuz I know along the journey
and the series is showing people how you did it, and we're going to be releasing the one that shows.
Yeah, and by the way, it's on YouTube our Mind Pump TV.
On Mind Pump TV, and we're about a couple weeks ahead, so it'll kind of catch you up to the point where we actually show.
So spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know this is a bit of a spoiler.
That's
alert.
Okay though, because I think it still is very interesting to watch the journey because you've openly admitted like some things you didn't do right at the beginning that you've changed and modified.
Yeah.
Like go over some of the things that you definitely figured out and changed, and then is there anything that in these last like say month leading up that really you felt attributed to that?
Yeah, there's been a couple conversations, and we've had even people on the show, and I'm like kind of taking mental notes. Like even with Stan Efferdine, we were talking about like junk volume and just kind of wasting your time in terms of if you have a specific goal, like what. Like I was kind of approaching it more holistically. Like I'm looking at like reinforcing a lot of my overall body strength, which I think it was actually important that I did that, especially in the first month, because I had been cruising on maintenance and I had been lifting, but I hadn't been really stretching myself for years, dude. Yeah. Like I've just been like what I could just kind of get away with. So for me, I was like, and watching your series, I'm like, I'm going to try to like see if I can get ahead of this whole like injury thing. Cause I know it was like something like that is like an inevitable stress point where if there's any kind of chink in the armor, it's going to get exposed. Yeah. So I was like, I have to really be diligent about reinforcing and doing this scientifically in terms of like what I know now. Like I need to take those steps and not just let my ego come in and push me through.
Yeah.
So that was tough because I had like a lot of this undulating, like I have pain, but I'm taking it back. And I was still trying to like
touch and go.
And like I was on that line constantly the first month and a half, like just, oh fuck, I went too hard. Oh, let's back off. No, I can do more. I went too hard. Back, And so the second month is really where I started to kind of cut a lot of the junk volume out.
Okay.
And that made a big difference. And so, and again, what's cool is it's the whole thing was really emphasizing a lot of what we talk about on the show of like what your body really can adapt to versus what you're tolerating.
Yeah.
And so I got to that point where I felt like I can actually like hold a significant more load. Like I can start stress testing it and let's actually do the lift itself. And so around the end of the second month, I just started to really start trying to put effort into the push press, which turns out like I ended up down the road doing this as a jerk press, which is a different version of it, but I felt like it's close enough. Like it's, it's something that takes the same amount
Did
of
you
skill.
press 315 over your head and hold it there?
Yeah. I challenge anybody else to get it up there any other way you want.
Let's get your friends help you. So
Yeah. Dude, I was scared because like, honestly, I came in scared because I hadn't even front squatted 315 and I can't even tell you how long. Like it was like, I felt it and was like, oh shit. Like I have no idea how this is going to go over my head, But I don't know, man. It was this weird epiphany was just like, I just have to listen to, have to trust in the fact that this is going to play out the way it's going to play out. And it was more of a psychological endurance for me more than anything, because I know I have the strength to produce and generate the force. And I've done 275 before, but that was a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, were you like in your 20s?
Yeah, I was in my 20s.
That's a big difference, everybody.
It is a big difference.
Just wait till you're in your mid-40s.
Like 225, I could confidently do that pretty easily. But that's not anywhere close to 315.
Bro, it's 90 pounds heavier. That's a big deal.
So then it was just a matter of, okay, if I'm going to do this lift, and I'm like somewhat proficient in it, not like I've never been coached in it. And then the light bulb, I'm like, I got to find somebody to look at my form and really like give me an idea of like some ways I can improve these little nuances and like get out of my head.
Yeah.
And once I had a coach involved, now it was like a lot of the psychological torment I was placing on myself, I was like offloaded. And then it was like, he's like, no, all you gotta do is this. You gotta put more pressure on your toe. We gotta get, your body in this position where you're stable. And then he just kind of broke it all down. And then I was like, it just clicked. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, and something he said to me that really stuck was, it's always going to feel heavy. and I didn't think about that because it was like, when you get stronger, you're like, it's not going to feel quite as heavy.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is always going to feel crushing.
No, when you get
crushingly heavy.
Well, like I guess you can that thinking back, like once you get past to a certain strength, all the weight feels heavy.
I feel like that's 300 pounds. At least that's what it's been for me.
Yeah,
It doesn't even matter what the lift is.
Yeah.
What the lift is 300 pounds on the bar.
It's always heavy.
It's just a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than what I weigh. It's a lot of weight. You know what I'm saying? Anything below that is like, it feels a litlittle more manageable. But once you hit that 315 and above, it just feels always heavy.
And then it's like, at that point, it's just a matter of if you can get it to move.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can just like create any kind of movement, like we can get you in a position where you're just going to trust your body to get into that position and hold and sustain it and lock it out. And so
how'd you feel after you hit it?
Incredible. At first, cause I honestly was ramping up and it was the shortest workout because I was like, I just wanted to get to the fucking goal.
And conserve energy too.
Yeah. And that was the other thing was I decided to take like 5 days off, like completely.
Yeah,
beforehand.
dude. You got to peak.
Fuck all this.
Yeah.
And so I got there and then I was just in good psychological space. So I was like, let's go for it. Let's hit it today. And so he just kind of was putting the weight on the bar, and then I was getting under each one. And
did you know right away? Could you tell right away?
I had this weird confidence that day. Yeah.
Okay.
And two, it's funny because like, and Courtney's great, but she never really like. She'll say something that's so impactful for me sometimes and not even realize it.
Oh,
and
wow.
She's like, I know you're gonna get it today, and then just like walks and goes like takes the kids to school.
And you were like,
I was like, I'm gonna get it today. I'm like, all right. And that stuck, and it was like I had that like weird air of confidence, and then and then I got to the point where I was ramping up, and it was 3:15, and I kind of knew it because before that, he was trying to subtly kind of bring it up with kilos and
That's tricky.
Yeah, that tricked me. And I
Don't look
like,
at the weight. We're fine.
like, this is heavy, but I'm not sure we're there yet. And what's funny and ironic is the smelling salts fucked me up.
Oh,
Didn't work.
Too
Had
much?
the opposite effect.
Oh, too much.
You're probably already on fire.
Yeah, and I think too it got
gotta
me
train with
too
them.
amped to where I had too much forward lean with it, and I went too quick with. So what's so weird about it? It's such a technical. Like if I was to pull it off like in seamless, you want it to be like super smooth and like your body just gets into
The
position.
technique's huge.
So you have to descend slower, which is that's completely a contradiction. To
Oh
me.
yeah.
Cause every time I like push press or do anything with power,
You gotta
it's
drop
like
fast.
bam. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're doing this like really quick coiling.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so I'm going slow down, and then and two, it keeps me more vertical, so I'm like in the pocket.
Oh,
So
you know why? I think going down too fast causes too much
too much momentum.
momentum, and you got to reverse that.
Exactly.
So it's not 315 now; it's 385 or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was weird for me, and like so the first two attempts I actually biffed like hard. One of them I went down too quick, and then I was like really forward, and I literally threw 315 at like Josh or whoever was right there. He's like, ah. So there's one clip where like it was off and it was coming at him, and then the
So you had
next
to do
one I
more
kinda
than one
missed.
attempt.
I did three attempts total. The third one I got.
Bro, that makes it even more exciting.
Yeah. And the third one, I was just,
Yeah.
that was it.
Bro, you're a beast.
Yeah.
You know how cool that is that you're like your age lifting that much. First of all, I don't care what age you are. That's crazy. The fact that you're at your age, there's a lot of dudes right now who are watching and listening who are in their 40s who are real happy, dude. They're real, you know what I mean? They're excited.
40s.
Yeah, dude. That
still
is
got
awesome.
It's such a cooler thing too than the bullshit I did, because it's like you get like a different high. Like I don't get to experience that high.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
did
It's
something.
like, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Mine's
Yeah, but you
so
looked
late.
awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
but it
I don't
doesn't-
ever like take my shirt off. And
But
be
it doesn't
hey.
matter because
still wouldn't.
even the little bit of excitement is delayed. I have to wait for a report to tell me it was good.
yeah.
Like instantly you're like,
Yeah,
fuck
it's
yes,
instant
I did it. You know what I'm saying?
gratification.
Where like I'm like, well, I hope it comes in good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, cool, I'm there, I'm ripped. Cool. It's so different.
Dude,
You know?
that
Yeah,
is
it's
so.
totally
and
different.
plus, I mean, it's easy to brag about. I lifted 3. You're like, well,
Yeah.
one time I looked.
Yeah. Cool. I have
You look at my
abs.
pictures?
Cool, yeah.
I'm gonna rest on that for a while, you guys.
Bro, are you kidding me? You're gonna tell your grandkids about this, and you got the video to show it too.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good for your
it
boys
is
to see that too, and let them know that you got a long way still.
It's funny.
Long ways before you take this throne.
You'll never beat Dad.
Everett, the whole time he's been extra like chipping at me, and like since I've been training, like it's funny because he used to be able to get me, like sometimes I wouldn't quite be able to hold my ground because he'd catch me off guard.
Yeah.
And like he's been trying every angle, and then it's weird when you're like in the zone and you're training really strong. Like he's like,
Bro.
one hand.
Bro,
The
Get
best
back.
part about that is that you pushed 315 over your head. It's going to be a long time before your boys can even pick 315 up. So imagine that's going to be in their head like that for a while. It's just like, damn, my dad put this over his head. I can't even get it off the ground.
Bro, that's like that's a one
Yeah.
like 1% of lifters or less.
That was my motivation. I'll be honest. Like strong.
Oh yeah,
And
your
getting
kids, your boys are strong, dude.
Yeah.
Especially
That's what I mean. You just bought yourself at least 5 more plus years right there by knowing that, man, I can't even get 315 off the ground. My dad put this over his head. Like I ain't challenged.
I got to say something. You made a little comment about your wife saying, that comment. It's funny when you read about the power that a wife's words has on her husband's. It is profound.
Oh yeah,
I've been reading a lot about that.
She's really good about being subtle with that too.
But
and it's
women need to know this as a wife, because it's different for them, for their husbands. But women, you have the ability to crush or completely build up your husband with just your words. I mean, this is biblical. It even talks about it biblically. But that little comment you talking about that, a lot of wives don't know that. You can make your husband feel invincible.
You think they don't know?
I think that sometimes they don't.
I think you just mansplained all of them.
No,
I think they all fucking know.
I think sometimes they don't realize, because they'll say things, and a lot of men are stoic, not realizing they're breaking them down. Because
I think most of us are naive. I think most girls are like 2-3 steps ahead. That's what makes them.
Maybe.
I think so.
You might be right.
I think so.
They're pretty good with the psychological
I wanted to crush him. That's what he gets. Oh, that sucks. Anyway, I got to say this. On what date do we have the trainer series coming out? The bonus episodes, Doug. Is that on May 19th?
Soon, isn't it?
I believe it's the 19th. That's a Monday.
May 19th, we have 3-episode series. It's a bonus series.
That's literally next Monday, right?
Now, anybody can listen to it.
Yes.
It's on Monday.
Yeah.
Anybody can listen to it, but we did it for trainers. It's 3 episodes, and they're designed to make you a better trainer. And then if you go to trainerwebinar.com, you can also sign up for free for a sales training that I'm going to do, which is going to be on June 3rd. They're all free. So all of them are free. The episodes are dropped on Mind Pump. And then the webinar, you got to go to trainerwebinar.com to sign up. So if you're a trainer, go. And you don't have to, it's all free. You don't buy nothing.
Trying to build some badass trainers.
That's it.
Hell
100%.
yeah.
Let's do it. Mind Pump is now offering group coaching. We've tried this in the past. It was extremely successful and popular. So we are now doing 2 groups. 2 groups of 50. That's it. We're cutting it off at 50 people for both groups. The first group, fat loss. The second group is muscle gain. So if you want to lose body fat or build muscle, and if we still have space and you're interested, go to mindpumpgroupcoaching.com. By the way, it's our trainers. They're Mind Pump trainers who are going to be coaching you. Go check it out. Again, it's mindpumpgroupcoaching.com. Back to the show. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by Mind Pump Fitness Coaching. This is the #1 course that teaches trainers and coaches how to build sustainable 6-figure plus businesses and careers in fitness. Look, it's roundtable based, so you can hear Adam, Justin, and myself teaching you how to build a better business, get more leads, close more deals, close bigger deals, and be more effective trainers. By the way, our course is nationally recognized. In fact, it gives you 1.9 CEUs with or for your NASM certification. Find out more at mindpumpfitnesscoaching.com.
Our first caller is Ethan from Georgia.
What's up, Ethan?
What's going on, Ethan?
Yes. What's up?
How you doing?
How you doing, man? How can we help you?
All right. Nervous to don't get out, but I'm all right.
All right, good deal. What's happening? How can we help you?
So I'm dialing in, calling in today because I'm really feeling the pull. Sorry about that. Really feeling the pull towards personal training. It's something that's been digging with me for a while. I've actually listened to every episode y'all had, and since about episode 100, y'all really made me just kind of want to head that way. And so the only issue I'm having with it is the financial side of it. I can't justify in my head leaving the job I have now, which gets me a easy paycheck, gets me a paycheck that I know is coming, and I know it's going to be there. And I can't really get it through my head that I don't know what I'm going to be making, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to cover my bills. I'm 23. I know I've got plenty of time to do it, and I probably should just kind of suck it up and go and do it. But I'm letting my head get in the way of it. So any advice would be appreciated.
Good.
You have family, kids. You live at home. You live with friends.
I live at home. I'm single, no kids.
Bro.
Ethan.
Bro.
Yeah,
come on.
now's the time,
Are
buddy.
you serious?
This is the time.
Hold on. Give him a chance. I want you to just take it. Well, hold on. Pause real quick, Ethan.
Okay.
Think about what you just asked us. Yeah. Okay. What do you think we're going to tell you right now, Ethan? Remember, you're talking to 3 to 4 guys who've started several businesses, who've taken big risks with families, with children, who've had to take that step. So just pause for a second. What do you think we're going to tell you, Ethan?
The thing I think you're going to tell me is just make the jump. But
yep.
I'm in my head. I need it to hold. I really am. I'm in my head.
Yeah, you are. Do you want to get out of that?
I do. Yeah. I want to get into the personal training business.
Okay.
Get out of my head. And
you're not going to have you're not going to have the right feeling. If you're waiting for the right feeling to do it, it's not going to happen. Just make the decision.
There's no better time, like in terms of where you're at in life and everything around you, responsibility wise. This is perfect for you to just go for it.
It may be, by the sound of you, it might be a disadvantage that you are in such a good place to do this, because maybe that's probably why you're talking yourself out of it. Maybe you don't have enough on the line. Maybe the fact that you know that you could go try it, and you still have a roof over your head and you'd be okay if you weren't making a lot of money, and maybe the fact that you don't have enough risk is what makes you scared. But this is honestly the best opportunity. You'll look back at this time in your life when you get older, if you don't do this, and because you're always gonna wonder if you're even considering being a trainer, and you know what you're going to know in your 30s and 40s, looking back at this time in your life, you're gonna go, shit. Yeah. If there was ever a time I should have done it, it was then, because I'm not gonna starve. I'm not gonna not have a roof over my head if I fail. It'll suck. It'll set me back for a couple months. I'll have to rebuild or get a new job. But all in all, you couldn't be in a better situation to take a risk like that.
Yeah, look, worst case scenario, first off, what I think you should do, and I'll try to convince you, although part of me doesn't want to convince you. Part of me wants to say to you, then don't.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going to let your fear run you that way, then this isn't for you. But I'm going to convince you a little bit, okay?
Be an accountant or something.
What's the worst that could happen? You try it out for a year, it fails. Okay. Can you get another job? Will mom and dad kick you out of their house?
No.
Are your kids going to starve? Oh, you don't have kids.
No.
Is your wife going to leave it? You don't have a wife. You're fine. So what's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is that you took a chance. I'm going to tell you the story I like to tell my 4-year-old son on how I explain bravery to him. Okay. So let's imagine there's a building that's on fire. Superman flies in the building and saves everybody. Is he brave?
No.
No, because fire don't touch Superman. Yeah. He can sit in a fire. Firefighters that go in that fire that could die, they're being brave, right? Because they're scared. So right now you're scared. So you have a choice. You can choose to be brave, or you can choose to not be brave. That's on you.
Okay.
You finished your...
Yeah, that's about what I was thinking y'all were going to say.
Well, I mean, the fact that you've listened to every episode too, Ethan, and I mean, I do love that you've probably heard us tell people how hard it will be, and that it's a hustle and a grind, and that fact that you still want to gives me hope that this is something for you. But man, I tell you what, if you don't do this, you will look back at this time in your life, and this will haunt you, dude. It really will. It'll haunt you, because you'll go, never in my life did I have the opportunity I had to take a risk with the least amount on the table than probably right now in your life. It'll only, as you get older and more responsibility and other people you're responsible for and more pressures like a mortgage and all these other things, it only gets even scarier to make decisions like this. Yeah. So
I remember when I was, I was 18 years old. I was a trainer, and I was going to college at the same time. And I started moving up very quickly in the company. And I realized I had to either step down from my position or go full force in the fitness industry. And this was a big decision for a kid. My parents didn't pay for college. I'm first generation American. I would have been the first person to graduate college in my family, and I had this path. I was going to become a physical therapist. And so what I did is I said, I'll give myself a year. So I'm going to go 100% for a year in fitness, 100%. So I don't want to look back and be like, I could have tried harder. I'm going to go 100% for a year. At the end of the year, if this is not working for me, I'll go back to going to school.
That's right. And
so that's what I did. And guess what happened? I never looked back.
I did the same thing.
Right.
Same agreement. Make that agreement with yourself. The thing I worry about, Ethan, and when I talk to young men that are in similar situations as you, is because it's not scary enough. Like, you think it's scary. It may not be scary enough. They tend to drag their feet. Because they know that in the back of their mind, they have this safety net of mom and dad will take care of me, or my family won't leave me out. And sometimes that can be what doesn't get people motivated. And so that's the only fear I have, is that it's actually not as scary as you think it is. And it needs to be scarier sometimes for people. Like, I think this is
maybe we should call his parents and kick him out. Are you? Is there a big
Apply
box
the pressure?
Is there a big box gym by where you're at? Driving distance?
Just down the road. Yes, sir.
Oh, go. Okay, here. Look, go get a job at the big box gym as a personal trainer. Start like that. You're going to get a paycheck. The leads are there. It's the easiest way to become a trainer. It's also one of the best ways to learn. You've heard us talk about this a million times. You're going to be exposed to a lot of people, a lot of volume. Train at the big box gym, become the top trainer at the big box gym, and then see what you want to do from there.
Number one trainer.
That's step one. And I'm going to tell you right now, you'll probably get hired. If you go over there with the right attitude, hey, I want to be a trainer. This is my passion. I want to learn. The fitness manager there is going to be like, you're hired, and then go for it. It's like one of the easiest ways to go. Start there and then see what happens.
What Sal said is the most important advice, in my opinion, when he said that the number one thing, strategy, because this won't be the last time this happens in your life, by the way. You'll have decisions like this that you'll be hesitant to, is to make peace with the worst outcome. Play out the worst outcome in your head. You try this for a year, you fail at it, you suck, you don't make any money, you're living on top ramen for a while, all the above. Play out
you hate it.
What the worst scenario for the next year is, and make peace with that and go like, okay, if that all happened, right? If I failed, had to do all those things, would it be the end of the world? Would I still be able to pick myself back up? Would I still be able to get another job? Yes. Okay. I can do that. I can figure that. Now, once you make that commitment, you do everything in your power to not.
You go hard.
Yeah, you to not fail, but you make peace first with what that worst case scenario looks like, and ask yourself, will I be okay? Can I survive? And if the answer is yes, then you got to go.
Open up your schedule, man. Don't limit it once you get there too. Okay.
Train everybody.
Yes. Yeah. You don't have a window of, this is when I'll be available. This is when I can work.
Yep.
You live there.
Don't miss any of our webinars either that we're doing and getting involved in our community. I mean, because we're helping guys just like you as you go through. I mean, we just had an in-person one with a bunch of trainers that flew out here to spend some time with us. And our goal is, you guys that have been listening to us for this long, that are inspired to become trainers, is to help elevate all you guys. So make sure you're eating up all the content that we be putting out there.
Yep.
All right. I appreciate it. That's what I needed to hear, was that I was being stupid.
No. You're not being stupid. You're being scared.
Yeah.
You're actually being smart. You're overthinking everything.
You're overanalyzing.
Oh my God, what happens if whatever. It's not stupid. It's scared.
Yeah.
So you got to choose to be brave. Go to that big box gym down the street right now when you hang up, and go get yourself hired, and let's go.
Yep.
Okay.
Guess what?
I got it.
Guess what,
Yeah.
Ethan? You know what I'm gonna do, because I think you might need this. I'm gonna have you back on in 60 days, and we're gonna check in on you, and don't disappoint us, because we'll make fun of you the whole time.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
60 days, we're gonna get back on with you, okay? And we'll coach you a little bit.
All right, Ethan.
Okay.
Go get that job.
Go do it.
Get it.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Man.
I appreciate it, y'all.
You got it, man.
Best of luck,
All
bro.
right,
Have a good one.
He's like, I got no kids. I live at home.
You got nothing stopping.
What are you doing? I'm gonna tell a story just for our audience, just so they know. Because we now have a few trainers that work for us here at Mind Pump, and we could, if we wanted, we could hire 100 trainers tomorrow. We have a lot of people who want to work here, but we're doing it slow on purpose because we want the best of the best. So, in order to work here, it's hard. So I'm gonna tell a story of one of our trainers, Marcelo. Marcelo is an excellent trainer, but when he came here, he left a nice 6-figure career. And I mean retirement,
benefits, everything.
benefits, career. He was making well into the, he was making good money. And he came here and he worked for free for a couple months as an intern. Then he got paid little as a trainer. And here we are now, I don't know how many months later, 4 or 5 months later, this guy's getting commission checks that are $5,000. Commission checks. Not including his hourly pay, but he had to come and make it happen and take that step and be brave.
He dove
and he did
all the way in.
And he's got a very bright future here at Mind Pump. But if he didn't take that step, and if he wasn't brave, and if he didn't pressure and trust the purpose, which is what we're talking about, it would never happen.
Our next caller is Jake from New Jersey.
Jake, what's happening?
What's going on, Jake?
What's up, dude?
Yo, what's up?
Not much, man. What's going on?
This is wild. All right, so question. Been like a fitness enthusiast 10 plus years now. I've done everything from like the bodybuilding, the yoga, the CrossFit, the martial arts. And recently, about 2 years ago, I had a chiropractor injury, an adjustment, which left me pretty much like bedridden for about 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I never thought I was going to be able to work out again. So I completely cut back everything. I just started walking again, like walking, and a lot of like started building up the core movements, kind of building like that posterior chain stuff. And about 18 months later, I was about 70% pain free. So then I started going back into lifting, but I was always terrified to go into my squats, my deadlifts, stuff like that, just from the pain. So found out about you guys about 4 months ago-ish, and I immediately purchased Symmetry through you guys. I am currently just finished it last week. And the first 3 phases, would say I was 99% pain-free. I felt absolutely amazing, back to my normal self.
Awesome.
The 5x5 phase, however, kind of completely reverted.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept everything. I didn't try to push too hard. I kept, I still had a couple reps in the tank. I focused strictly more on form. I wasn't trying to, be me at 21. But it was just like the morning pains, the aches. Basically, my question is, I'm having my first kid soon, on the way in July. All I want to be there is, I want to be able to wrestle with my kid. I want to be able to play with my kid. I want to live pain-free for my family. Where do I go from here? Like with the Symmetry, how good I felt to keep that balance of being able to be in the gym, feeling good on the outside, and living a normal life.
Good question.
Yeah,
Jay.
it is. Yeah.
Did you get and did you have an MRI? Did you get anything diagnosed, like a herniated disc or?
So I did get an MRI, and it said I had 6 herniated discs.
Okay.
But clearly that didn't happen just from a chiropractor adjustment. Like, I work manual labor. I'm an aircraft mechanic, and I'm also 6'7". So like, I'm bending a lot.
Yeah.
So I know that I probably already had the herniated discs and was living fine with them. It was just something that happened in that adjustment that probably threw everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are the herniated discs where the pain comes from?
Yes, it's mostly like lumbar area.
Okay. So here's the deal. What I would suggest, I would stay in Symmetry and not do
The final phase.
and I would stay in there for a
Just
long
repeat,
time.
while.
Repeat.
For a very long time.
Especially since you were feeling so good during that.
It was too fast for you to move into bilateral 5x5.
And I know I know you've only been listening for like 4 months, but people hear us talk about the benefits of, back squatting and bilateral. But in a case like yours, where I have a client that has that, and we're feeling so good doing all this unilateral, I'll keep you in unilateral for years if I need to, because you can build an incredible, healthy, strong, balanced physique.
That's right.
Never bilateral squatting. It just, you don't have to do it. And so your body telling you that it felt so good doing that, and then it didn't feel so good is enough for me as your trainer to go, yo, we're going to stay right here, bro.
Yeah. I had a client, It reminds me of a client I trained years ago who had a couple herniated discs and she basically accepted that she was always going to be in pain. She was just always kind of like in pain, and it was a problem. She hired me as her trainer, and I trained her for a year. Then she became a personal trainer and worked for me. So she became certified. So she continued to exercise properly. And it wasn't until maybe 3 or 4 years of proper exercise and, avoiding exercise that bothered her and working around it, where the back pain essentially became non-existent. So it took a long time of training. There's absolutely nothing wrong with unilateral training. Is amazing. You're going to develop a great body, strong, the whole deal. So what I would say is I would stay in that unilateral phase for a long time. And then when you dip your toe in bilateral, and when you start to feel pain, get back out. Okay, it's not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. Got to go back to unilateral. And every once in a while, you could go test it a little bit. Like, let me ask you this. When you started the final phase of Symmetry, the bilateral 5x5, when did you notice it started to bother you?
It was like, so when I'm doing the workouts, I'm fine. It's like the next morning,
Got it.
it's like I feel my spine like almost like bruised and compressed.
Got it. And this was after the first workout?
Yeah, like from the start of the 5x5.
Right. So what I would have done is after the first workout, you feel that, back out.
Right out.
Yep, I'm done. Yeah, I'm going to go right back to unilateral. And so that's the way I would treat something like that.
Yep.
Okay.
Nothing.
So I can just
You could just stay there. Yes.
Oh, just
redo
forever.
those phases over and over again. Then
forever.
Yes, that program is so balanced.
Yeah.
It's got rotational stuff in there. Because you're doing unilateral, you could literally live in that. And just like Sal's saying, if we've been training for a long time, you might get to a point like, man, Adam, I'm feeling so good. Let's test the bilateral. Let's try it, and then we test it. And the minute your body responds that way, I'd be like, nah, we're good. Go back. Now, if it felt good, we'll be like, all right, cool. Let's see if we can keep progressing this way. And then the minute again you feel that way, I'm gonna go the other way. There is nothing wrong with you training unilateral forever if you had to.
Which I don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't think so either.
So, and even too, like a lot of the bilateral movements at that point, you can use dumbbells and kettlebells, and you can kind of keep some management there, so there's less compressive forces. But you're going to want to work your way back, and that's sort of the goal. But it's literally you could live within those first couple phases for quite some time.
You got to consider too where you were. You hurt your back so bad you were bedridden as a young man who was not out of shape. And then for a long time, it took you a long time to get it to 70%. So it was pretty bad. Whatever happened was pretty bad. So the fact that you got 99% is amazing. Stay unilateral for a while. It's probably going to take you a little while. I don't think it's going to be forever though. I think the fact that you felt so good training unilateral so quickly, that to me is like, at some point, I think you'll be able to go bilateral.
Stability, strength is going to be everything, man.
Right.
And you're going to keep working on that.
I'm gonna have Jake. I'm gonna have Doug put you in our private forum, so you have access to us, and you also have access to Dr. Brink and Jordan Shallow, which are two of the most brilliant movement specialists that we know. So
I appreciate that.
You've got them at your disposal. You've got us at your disposal. But yeah, go back to repeating the symmetry, and then just check in with us. You have questions, you feel something weird, you just hit us up inside the forum or Dr. Brink, and we'll help you through this process.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, you got it, man.
All right,
congratulations on the new kid coming.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Right on, man.
Yeah, I've had a couple clients like that where it took us years, and then like little by little gone. But it wasn't like, and I remember the woman I'm talking about. She was one of my very first clients when I opened my studio, and I was frustrated because I typically am able to get someone's pain to be gone. In a couple months, and it was like a year later. But she stuck with it, and little by little, it became a non-issue. But it took years.
Well, it's tough because, it seems like you're not there's this idea of like normalcy. And it's like they want to get back to like this sort of standard that they have created in terms of their training. But what's benefiting them, it's like it gets overlooked. And it's like, this is where we need to really emphasize.
Well, and so the audience knows there's programs we write that you should phase in and out of. And then we have programs that we write that you can do indefinitely. Symmetry is one of those. Performance is another one like that. Those programs, and why that is because they're so well balanced, and you might be
more
going,
movement
well,
focused.
why aren't you doing that in all the other? Well, that's because
the other one are specific,
very specific, right? Get strong, build your metabolism, or sculpt your body to look a certain way. But performance is overall, right? Or symmetry is overall. It's got rotational stuff. It's got unilateral. It's very well balanced, and so the average person could follow that indefinitely and be very healthy, very fit, very strong, and never feel like they have to move out. So it's okay to do that.
Our next caller is Josh from Indiana.
What's up, dude?
What's happening, Josh?
Hey, guys. I appreciate you taking my call.
How can we help you?
Hey, just get here right to my question. Obviously love the show. As, lifetime trainers and, being the experts that you are, this question might make you guys laugh or angry. I'm not sure which, but at what point would you guys recommend somebody getting liposuction? I went back, I listened to episode 2242 with Dr. Anthony, and it was awesome. It was very informative. He didn't really address like when you just say, hey, you've done all you can, you've done exercise, you've done diet, but maybe you just need to go under and, get surgery. A little background, I've worked out pretty much my entire life. I started getting into weight training in 7th grade for football. forever grateful to that coach for getting me into it. I went through some fat years when I first got married, got a desk job, my mid 20s. But in the last 8 years, I've really honed in, really transformed my body, went through, everything from weight training to, heavy cardio, everything in between. As I age, right, I'm 37 now, continue to just add more and more to my workouts, more cardio, heavier training, trying to add on as much as I can. But no matter how hard I try, I cannot seem to get rid of kind of my back fat love handles. I don't know what you would call that. I've went through multiple macro coaches, multiple, lifting coaches, different programs like that. I've considered some of the cool sculpting, but some of the results I've seen look like they're maybe fake or they've been, modified. I know it might be ridiculous to spend money on liposuction as a dad who's never going to get on stage. But I also want to be the best version that I can possibly be of myself. And I don't want to hit that age where it's a little too late. I appreciate it.
Good question, dude. So
I don't know if I ever have or would recommend liposuction. I'm trying to think of a case where I would do that.
Well, I mean, okay, look, obviously it's a personal decision. And this is coming from someone who's struggled with trying to look a particular way since I was a kid, someone who's used hormones or abused them in the past, who still has issues with some of this stuff. Recently I even talked about on the podcast how I almost went into the black market and got anabolic steroids, and I stopped myself by the grace of God. So I know what this feels like. But you said something interesting. Now I can tell you my objective opinion. You sent us a picture. You look fine, dude. You look great.
You look fine. You look great.
But I'm going to tell you. I'm going to respond to something you said earlier. You want to be the best version of yourself, okay? As a dad and as a husband, right? Okay. How many kids do you have, by the way?
2, 7-year-old and 2-year-old.
Good for you, man. God bless. Okay. What's the best version of you for them? The one who's happy with himself, or the one who has to get cosmetic surgery and do things to himself to try to look a particular way? Which one's the better version of you?
Yeah, the first version, obviously.
That's right.
It's a struggle. I know that.
It is, man, and you gotta really look at the root.
Not only that, but by the way, when you do it, it won't solve that.
Yeah, and lipo is a pretty big deal. It doesn't feel good, but I mean, I've had clients that have had it. But I don't think it's going to give you what you're looking for.
No, it won't. It will not. I don't care if you do it the natural way of getting shredded like a bodybuilder would and getting on stage, or getting it lipoed out of you. It won't solve the feeling that you have. And that's what happens to people that do that. And that's why I wouldn't recommend it, is for those reasons. To each their own. If you want to do that, I don't care. I'm not going to judge someone who does that. But if the desired outcome is to get that feeling you're looking for, you won't get it. You just won't.
Not from that.
And it's really hard to tell somebody who in their head's like, how could you tell me that? It's like the same thing with like how people talk about having money and happiness. You can't tell me that if I didn't get rich that I wouldn't be happy. Like I gotta figure it out for myself. And then you do, and you go, oh fuck, everybody was right. Happiness doesn't come from that. Happiness comes from within. Has nothing to do with any external forces or what you look like on the outside. And we've dealt with this with so many clients who battle with and that are not in good shape like you, that are way out of shape, and they go, man, I'm depressed, I'm sad, it's all this. It's because I look this way, and if I could just look that way, I would be happy. And then you get them in shape, and guess what happens? They're still fucking unhappy, bro. It becomes something else, or it manifests as another body part, or because internally there's something that needs to be worked on. And so the answer to this is not the extra, 3.5 pounds of body fat you have hanging around your low back, which, by the way, all dudes pretty much do. And it took me all the way till getting on stage before that part goes away. In fact, all of us bodybuilding guys, when we'd be getting ready for shows and you guys would be all covered up, like you walk behind a guy and you grab his back fat, because you can always tell how crazy shredded he is by that part, because even the leanest, buffest dudes in the gym still carry extra body fat there until they get single digit body fat on stage. And so it's very normal for the body to be carrying that right there. Yeah. And lipoing out won't solve it, brother.
Is there any kind of like performance driven goal that entices you at all, in terms of like, if I were to try to get strong, or like if there's any kind of competitive spirit that would direct you in a way where you could just focus on, this is something I want to conquer and accomplish, and you're going to put most of your eggs there as opposed to focusing so much on the aesthetic?
No, it's a great question. I think, I was an athlete most of my life. And so, I've always kind of got that competition or competitive, mindset where I just want to be better. I want to be better than I was yesterday and whatever that looks like. And, I know maybe it's an unhealthy obsession, but I guess that's kind of where it came from.
I appreciate your vulnerability to come on here and say
you're very honest. For sure.
I think it's a really good question for other people to hear us talk about. I think a lot of people feel this way. Not a lot of people have the courage to come on the fucking big podcast and talk about it and put themselves out there. So I do commend you for having the balls to do that. And I do think it's a really good question that a lot of people struggle with. But let me tell you, from my experience of training a lot of people,
in personal experience, I mean, we've all experienced it.
Yeah. It's a
struggle, man.
And what sucks is that if you did it, you'd feel good temporarily, very, very temporary. It'd be a very short one, just like they use the financial, thing. When you first reach that financial milestone that everybody thinks they want to get.
But especially with the body, it's like perception drift. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
That's a real, look it up. I see that with plastic surgery all the time. So it's not going to give you what you're looking for. And who are the most important people in your life?
Oh, my wife and kids.
Do they care?
100%.
Do they give a shit? Does your daddy get rid of these because I'll love you more if you, nobody cares. They don't care. Nobody cares.
That's actually a lens that has helped me a lot, from somebody who thought he wasn't going to have kids to now has a son. I love to play that game. Is if my son asks me about this, how am I going to respond? Like, obviously, you can go get it done and they would never know. But I like to play the game like if he were to watch me do it, how would I explain to him what I'm doing and why I'm doing? And then I play that out in my head and I go, oh fuck, I don't want to tell my son I'm insecure about my low back and so daddy went and got like. Shit, that's enough right there to get me not do it. It's like I don't want him to think that way. So I love when you have kids. I love talking to somebody who's got kids and has contemplating something like this. Like play it out in your head. You having to have your kids sitting there watching you do it, and then you have to. And listen, if you can justify it in your head and you think it's a good conversation, then hey, by all means. But for me, that always really helps me with it, like deciding, like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that because. If I have to have that conversation with him, I don't know how I would explain that in a way that would make me feel good about what I'm teaching or showing him. Yeah. That's enough for me.
No, it's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, you got it, man. Yeah. Good luck, bro.
Appreciate you, dude. Good luck, man.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, dude. The body is a terrible god. You worship the way you look. It is a terrible god, and it's going to tyrannize the hell out of you. And what I mean by that is exactly what Adam's saying is you get what you think now is going to serve you, and then that God tells you, no. You go further. It's not enough. Okay.
Yeah, but also this.
Yeah. Oh, but now it's not far.
Always another
keep
thing.
Keep going. And it's a terrible God. So
I'm so glad though that that takes a lot of courage to put yourself
for a
out.
dude, especially.
Yeah, so
pretty unique,
and it's good for the audience to see, because I know that there's a people that are watching like, oh my God, I can't believe this dude is already in great shape and blah blah, and they're going to judge him like that. But this happens. This happens to, I tell you what, 90% of your fitness people you all look up to.
This is a struggle.
Oh my God, you kidding me?
This is them. Yeah. This is what makes them go into this as a profession, because they can obsess about this and they can justify it as it's my job and it's what makes it's helping people be healthy. But in reality, it's a deeply rooted insecurity that drives them to driving towards perfection in their physique that never ends, that we all look at and admire because we think they have this great healthy balance and lifestyle. It ain't true at all. And so I love that he brings this up so we can talk about it, because this happens to people that are carrying 100 pounds overweight all the way down to someone like that who looks really good still and is looking for the next thing. And I'll tell you right now, like it ain't gonna fill that hole.
Our next caller is Chiara from France.
Chiara, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine.
Cool background.
Actually from Italy, but it's okay.
No problem. How can we help? How can we
I
help you?
wanted to stay here because of the Tour Eiffel, but I think it's a little bit too noises, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get inside. Maybe it's easier to understand what I'm saying. Hello, guys. So I will skip all the part when I say that you are amazing, and I will stick with my question, even though something changes since I wrote the email. But I have to say you're really amazing, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm 51. I'm 5.10. I think that's the measurement, as you say, and I'm 138 pounds, and I'm quite active. I work like a lot, and I'm doing my 10,000 steps a day. That's not a big deal. And before I was doing some marathons and triathlons, and I stopped years ago. And I was on the peak of my physical shape around 40 when I probably completed the insanity program that I know you're not very fan of, which is a high intense interval training, but without doing any diet stuff. For the first time in my life, I saw my abs, so I was like, "Oh my god, that's great!" And I of course I enjoyed the self, and things got spoiled. I was like working and taking care of the kids, so of course I gained some weight, etc. So 3 years ago I started menopause, and it was really tough. The beginning was like, my goodness, I started waking up with weird pain all over my body. I had my shoulder was like, I was crying. I couldn't sleep because of my shoulder, and I haven't done anything about it. And I got the tennis elbow, never touched a racket in my life. And so because I used to have this feeling of interval training that made me feel better, I tried to do it again. But it was a disaster. So my body really didn't want to know about it. It was like, no, don't do it again. So I tried to educate myself and starting. And I have to say, maybe because it's not my primary interest, but it was kind of difficult to find someone that you can trust. And finally, I get to know you guys, and that's awesome because there's a big confusion around this fitness world, and it's not really easy. So I started reversing my diet, and that was amazing. Anyway, I feel a lot of energy, and something really strange happened. So my menstrual cycle reappeared.
Yeah,
which was. It was crazy. And everyone was looking at me like, no, that's impossible. So, and because of you, I wasn't like super scared, because if I Google it, so the only reason that this can happen is cancer. So at the point that when I wrote the email, I haven't done any tests, but I did all my tests. Everything is just perfect. And my doctor just said, no, but your ovaries are starting working again. Could it be because of the reverse dieting, that I'm eating more? And I said, no, nothing to see about that. I said, no, I'm sure it's about that. Yeah. I'm 100% sure because of the feeling that I got. Mm-hmm. It's just like I'm reversing my declining. So this is also awesome. Thank you for this as well. But my question is more about like finding the right coaching, and what can I expect from a coach? Because in this period, so I spent money, and I tried to do it by myself, and I wasn't able to. I tried to hire someone, but I don't know exactly what do I have to. I mean, I will never be like a fanatic. I mean, maybe yes, but it's something that I really want to do it to feel better, to look better, of course. So it's not that easy. So because, for instance, once I had someone, but I didn't feel like, of course, it gave me the program, but then I had to figure it out all by myself. And I think that I wanted to talk about my feelings and stuff, but it wasn't like, I don't know how to say. So I didn't feel like taken care of.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I was like, I need something more.
We have good news
So
for you.
because it's I have to spend money, but also time and commitment. I really need to know what to look for and what's the sign that can say, okay, this is a good person for you, or
Good question.
yeah, that's
You gonna tell her?
Go ahead.
You gonna tell her?
No.
Cheryl, we have such great news for you. You know, we have
Yeah.
we have our personal trainers here that do
right.
this. We don't talk about it very much on the show, but we have a trainer that we can have contact you. That's one of ours, and we oversee all the clients here and have them call you and take care of you.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
you should. What you're saying. So I want to address a couple things. So a menstrual cycle can stop due to overtraining and undereating. And I had many female clients. This would happen. They weren't in menopause. They were younger, but this would also happen. I had women with issues with fertility, and then they started reverse dieting, exercising properly. Their fertility improved.
A lot too.
So in your case, it might have your menopause might have happened a little sooner because of the low calories and stuff like that. So you made it. That's what the refeeding would have helped. Would help with. Nonetheless, it does balance out the hormones a little better, regardless. As far as a coach or a trainer is concerned, you should feel like they care about you. Yeah. You should feel supported. You should feel like, man, I really like working with this person. Mm-hmm. They understand me. They hear me. They listen to my concerns. They have my best interests in mind.
They anticipate problems.
That's what you should feel from working with a good coach, because if you don't, they're not going to be effective.
That's right.
You have to feel those, otherwise it's not going to be effective.
There's a lot of cookie cutter programs out there. This has become a very popular space in the last 10 years with the internet and Zoom calls and the ability to do this. And so a lot of coaches and trainers that probably shouldn't be coaches and trainers are now doing it. And it is very difficult to know what's a good one or not. This is what inspired us to start this. We had so many of our listeners and clients reaching out to us saying, could you recommend a coach? Could you recommend a coach to us? That we finally said, I tell you what we're going to do is build a small team in-house that are people underneath us that we can oversee the programming and make sure they're communicating to our people and taking care of them just like the way you want.
Yeah, because sometimes I just feel stupid. Like, okay, the program is not rocket science. I can understand it, and I can do what is written and stuff. But I don't know if I feel like I don't have the right. I don't know. It's just
a guide.
Coaches are there for a reason.
That's right. The right guidance.
You want a guide.
You want to feel guided through this whole process. Yep. That's their job. Their job.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that. I mean, just been taking like a baby, and because I think I'm listening to your podcast really like all the time, and when you get questions, there's a lot of the time they are so specific and stuff, and I say, oh my goodness, I'm completely lost. I will never understand what is the point and what they're doing and what can I do with it and stuff. So yeah, this is a very important thing. But do you think that doing it like on Zoom or stuff, because I feel, and that's what I start my mail with, I feel that in Europe we don't have the same approach. I don't know, maybe you know better, but I feel like I always try to come and see what the Americans are doing about that. I don't know, maybe it's just my
we know some really good trainers. We've met some that are from Europe, but the fitness industry started and tends to come from, so the information tends to come from the US. And so when I communicate to trainers and coaches overseas, they tend to be like 5 years behind maybe with some of the information. Nonetheless, it's unfortunate. This is good for trainers to hear this, but for the consumer, this is not good news. It is hard to find a good coach anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're at. Now you'll find more of them in fitness hotspots like maybe Los Angeles or, bigger cities. You're in Paris. There's probably going to be better coaches there than there would be in some of the smaller towns, maybe in comparison. But they are hard to find. There's a lot of trainers out there, but there's not a lot of really good ones. So.
Okay. So do you think that doing it remotely makes sense anyway?
Yes.
And
the nice part about one of our coaches, what they'll tell you if they think that you need to get somebody in person. So if you're going through them and let's say they're coaching you and they start to hear things from you and they go, oh, you know what? She really needs someone to help her in the gym with the exercises. They'll recommend that to you.
Yeah.
They'll tell you, hey, I can help you a lot here, but it sounds like you also need this. But that's their job, is to guide you through that process to make sure you feel confident as you go through
Think of a really good online coach as your fitness and health manager. And they're going to piece it all together for you. And there's a lot. They can do a lot virtually with you, but if there are things they can't do, they're going to manage all of your fitness and health. So you're like, okay, I do need someone in person once a week to take me through some exercises. Your online coach that works for us will help you find that person. They'll help you find the right person who's going to train you in the right way because they know what to look for.
Okay, that's great, because I also bought one of your. I bought the Maps Transform because I say, oh, but that's a good start because it's almost summer and that. But I couldn't. I mean, by myself, I know I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's just like is maybe for people that are very committed and stuff, but I can't. So this was. We're going
to help you. We're going to help you through it.
You just need that.
We're going to help you through it.
Okay,
yes,
that's perfect.
Yeah.
I've just one another question that I can't find anywhere the answer of, and is about yawning during the training. Is this something that happens to someone else or just me? I mean, I had this even when I was running. I don't know. It's just like if I can't have the old breath, I don't know what it is, and I keep yawning during my training, which is
I've had that before.
So if you're not able to get a full diaphragmatic breath, yawning can be a type of a reaction. So so sometimes,
what do we have to do about it?
So sometimes you could try belly breathing. Do you know what belly breathing is?
And I heard it from you, but I don't really know what it is.
So you'll see this in a lot of people, especially people who are kind of like go, hard work, executive. They breathe very shallow. So it's chest breathing. So what you would do is you would lay on the floor to practice this. You put one hand on your upper chest and one hand on your belly button. And then you take a deep breath. And what you want is the hand on your belly button to rise first and fully before the upper chest rises. So you're teaching your body to get a full diaphragmatic breath. And it's going to feel very strange. You might even get a little emotional as you start to teach your body to relax, but that'll help. And then you train yourself that way. And it's good. It's a good practice before bed. It helps with sleep.
This is also a good example of how our coach would help you. We actually have a video of one of our trainers teaching belly breathing. So they would send you a video.
Nice.
They would send you a video and have you do this and work on it and then help you through that process. And if you have questions, they'll help you through that. So this is a great example of this is what this coach would do with you is you bring up a question like that. And they said, hey, I've got a video to show you how to do belly breathing and I'll send it over to you right now.
Oh, that's perfect. So how can I get in contact with this?
When we hang up with you right now, we'll have Doug the trainer contact you.
Yep. And
okay. That's perfect.
Are those Chiara, those pictures?
Yes.
You look great, Chiara. We see your picture.
Yeah, that was but that was years ago.
No.
That's what I wanted to go back to.
No, even the recent
I was 40. I wasn't, the only thing that I see is now I'm 51. I say, okay, but it's not years ago. It was just some years ago. And I did what I did, but now I can't get to find, I don't know, I think I'm consistent, but there is something wrong.
Let's see what happens.
I think the only way is just having a coach that is follow me all the way.
Let's see what happens.
It's a great investment. And if we do our job well, you're going to learn a lot. So we'll take care of you.
Okay. That's perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We'll be in
Bye,
touch.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah, good.
That's great.
Yeah, that's great.
I've had clients that yawn like that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a
Trying to get
common
oxygen.
reaction. Yeah, and if there's a term for it. Maybe Doug, you could look it up. Yawning while exercising. It doesn't mean you're tired. If there's another reason for it, but I've had clients do that. And belly breathing.
It's like you said, your body's trying to get in more oxygen. You know?
Yeah. But I mean, she's what she said is like, if you're hiring a coach or a trainer and you feel disconnect, you don't feel like they're really listening to you. You don't feel like they have your best intentions in mind. Like they're not going to be effective no matter how good they are. You have to be fully bought in.
Yeah.
You have to have that feeling with your coach for them to be able to do a good job regardless of what they know.
It's all about communication.
Yeah.
So if that's not established, you're not, with a good person.
All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. One of the keys to fat loss is protein. It's true. If you're not eating a high protein diet, you're not going to burn as much body fat as you can. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about the smartest ways to use protein for fat burn and to build muscle. You got to watch this.
I wish I understood this earlier in my career. I think it was probably almost 10 years in when I started to just focus on this with clients.
I knew it was important,
Yeah.
but I don't know how important.
Yeah, I knew it was important, but I also didn't